But just going further into the merits of the case, ANC Secretary Fikile and Secretary General Fikile Mbalula also addressed supporters earlier outside court, saying that they are confident with their arguments.
We've taken a decision to challenge this party, but not only that, we've been toiling since this party was registered, fighting for our logo, for our asset, for our own MK. To say that if Zuma want to form a party, it is fine. He can call it Msholozi, he can call it Zuma, he can call it whatever he wants to call it. But we will never leave him to run away with MK. Because Umkhonto weSizwe belong to the African National Congress. Umkhonto weSizwe belong to the African National Congress and the people of South Africa. But he has taken a decision to take our asset and run with it. We took a decision to challenge him. We are challenging him in two levels in terms of this formation. You must understand, this is the beginning. Here today in the electoral court, we are challenging him in terms of deregistration of this party. That's the first leg. Next week, we challenge the patent, the ownership. Who owns Umkhonto? And then it is owned by ANC. So that is the second leg. It has been, should anything work against us, it will not be the end of the day. Should we register victory, it is equally good for the ANC. Comrades, we respect the rule of law. We are not afraid of anybody. We have seen them all and they failed. They started with Congress of the People. We defeated them. And today, Mukitu Warikatsu Fedile. And now, Jacob Zuma has done something that we wouldn't have expected from him. To form a political party against the African National Congress. Now, comrades, he has done it, and therefore he is here defending it as his party. And the African National Congress, we are here standing to say this is our property.
All right, now let's get analysis on this and other political issues. We're now joined by political analyst Dr. Zamokuhle Mbandlwa. Dr. Mbandlwa, thank you so much for your time. So we've seen, of course, and we've heard from both the ANC and the MK, just on the sidelines of this particular court case that was brought forward by the ANC. Now, of course, a lot of concerns given the fact that we are merely a few weeks away from a very crucial election. What do you make of these scenes that we are seeing from both the MK and the ANC?
Good afternoon to you and good afternoon to your viewers at home or wherever they might be. Well, this is a very interesting story, a developing story, a very interesting story indeed, because I just want us to have a look at the history of the parties that have come out of the ANC. Remember, in 1997, UDM came out of the ANC, and at that time, ANC did not take much actions against Hofmeyer, who formed UDM. And if you look at the UDM is coming out of the name called UDF. So they actually just twisted the name UDF and they called it UDM. And the ANC did not fight the establishment of UDM at that time. But in 2009, there was a party called COPE, which also which came out of the ANC. And the ANC at that time, if you look at COPE as well, if you look at the history of COPE and Congress of the People and the Freedom Charter, there's a resemblance in terms of the history between the ANC and COPE. Now, the ANC has done the same in fighting against the name COPE in 2008. which then the ANC at that time did not win against the COPE. So as a result, COPE was able to receive about 30 seats in parliament. Now, the ANC have learned from that mistake of not taking further steps to fight against the establishment of COPE in 2009. So now at this particular point, they see the danger of allowing the MK to contest elections, because the reality is there will be a decline in the ANC at a national and also at various provincial levels. So this is the only way at the moment that they can actually fight against the MK, because if the MK, if they are fighting with MK on the ballot, we might see some paradigm shift in terms of the voter support and also in terms of numbers, because at the moment, ANC enjoy about 230 seats in parliament out of 400. And remember, in 2019, there was no strong opposition, there was no splinter group, there was no MK, and there are higher chances that the numbers will decline.
Well, the ANC, just going back to this particular court case, is saying that there were procedural flaws in registering, the MK party. I want to talk about the consequences. Should this party be deregistered? I mean, we have heard some very serious threats by some members of the MK party leveled at the IEC being made, should the party be deregistered. What are we likely to see?
I think the MK party leaders who state that there will be a chaos or there will be a violence, it's their own opinion. And I think at this particular point, we don't want to see any chaos or any violence. People want to vote. They want to take their own decision on which political party that they want them to lead this country. Well, I think whatever decision that will be taken by the court will be a fair decision. And I think the court will take a decision on the basis of fact, because I think both parties have fair grounds to lay on in stating whether the chairperson, because the problem here is that the contestation is on the allowing this party to be registered as a political party and the documents that were submitted. And I think whatever decision that will be taken by the electoral court will be on the basis of the evidence that is presented, not on the basis of the threats that are being made by people who are threatening the country.
Dr. Mbandlwa, and just talking about that, the threat to the country, of course, the ANC also asking South Africans to remain vigilant ahead of these elections. I mean, the threat of violence in this country and also violence in itself is not a new thing. We've seen how it can go and how serious this potentially is. I mean, how concerned are you that we are likely to see some form of violence, to the run-up to the elections, and particularly on that crucial day?
Well, I'm very concerned, I must say, because when political leaders, especially those who are authorities in government, when they say something, you will actually have faith that whatever that they say will actually prevail. But on the other hand, something happens. I will just talk about a practical example of what have transpired in 2021 during the unrest. Well, there were threats that were made in 2021, in July 2021, and the police minister and all those who are responsible for the security cluster, which includes the minister of defense at that time, they've made sure that they said that we must be assured that there will be no violence. Everything will be normal. We must be calm. And I'm sure they will say the same thing now, not knowing what will happen should this matter not be treated carefully. That's why I said the court will have to take a decision on the basis of the evidence, but also look at the number of possibilities, because of course we always see that we don't have strong intelligence in the country, because if we had a strong intelligence in 2021, we're not going to witness what we have witnessed in terms of the disruption that has happened, the unrest. Many people have lost their lives, many properties were destroyed under this current government.
Dr. Mbandlwa, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Really do appreciate your analysis. Of course, unfortunately, that's all the time that we have this afternoon. Of course, Dr. Mbandlwa is a political analyst. And of course, we are monitoring that story very closely as judgment has been reserved. The judge in the case saying that the parties will be informed when judgment will be delivered.